What you know you can't explain. But you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong. You don't know what it is, but it's there. Like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. Experience the awakening. Brilliant anonymous researchers. Patriots, join us in the Patriot Army. Trust the plan, pain coming. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. RedStateTalkRadio.com, Brighteon.tv, Rumble.com/MG Show. The end won't be for everyone. That choice to know will be yours. Where we go one, we go all. Fight, 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 and fight we will. We fight every day right here on the MG Show. And welcome to the MG Show, where we're praying for all the people and the firefighters and their families in Idaho. Breaking news, Shady Wes Roley, R-O-L-E-Y, was identified as the suspect of the Idaho firefighters. Pretty interesting, guys. So we pray for all of that. But what usually happens when bad news is about to break against them? And here we go, Shady.
Yeah, man. Wow. What an interesting story to be having to cover on Monday. Welcome you guys to the July 4th week of the winning. If you can call that, when you could never call yourself a country of winning in your lifetime. And now we can officially call ourselves a country of winning as we move towards our Independence Day. We see something that we've really never seen before. We understand that the idea that, the triggered left are very vigilante-minded towards the police and towards ICE agents. But the idea of something like this is happening, this is something very new, and this is something very disturbing.
Yeah, very disturbing. So this is the guy's face right here, Shady Grove. There he is. The suspect gunman in Idaho is Wes Roley, 20 years old. Very interesting. Patsy probably said, Idaho sniper named as traumatized locals pay tribute to slain firefighters. Just pretty interesting, guys.
Yeah, wow. The idea that you would set a fire to lure firefighters in only to attempt to murder them is pretty insane.
Wes Roley doesn't smile in photos. Here's some of his photos, I guess, Shady. So there's the guy. Interesting, huh?
Looks very gender confused.
Oh, God. Whew. So... interesting. So we're going to find out more about that, but there's a lot of weirdness going up in that whole little, Moscow, Idaho, and the French name. I can't pronounce it.
Oui.
Do you know how to say the name of that?
No, I cannot pronounce that.
Yeah. So you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyways, very interesting. He is creepy. I see a lot of things. Welcome to the MG Show. Thank you guys very much. I just wanted to break that news at the top of the show because that's what we do, because we are the news now. That's what we're doing. We're doing the news, Shady. But I really want to thank you all. I can't thank you all enough for taking 1 second and going to the main page of this video and liking the video, guys. And thank you so much, because it's actually helping us get into the leaderboard, Shady Grove, is what I'm seeing.
Yes, just a million thanks to all of you for participating last week. And what we finally realized is how all of this stuff over here on Rumble is working, and the way that it's working is through the likes on the video, the thumbs up button. They call it a rumble. Give us a rumble to thumb up the video, and that generates the number of rumbles 1 through 50 of the leaderboard, however many rumbles you can get in any given day. Yeah. Last week, MG show, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, all 3 days, this show appeared on the leaderboard because of your help with going out there and liking the show. As a result of that, Jeff, we had almost 400,000 views on this channel on Rumble last week in the last 7 days. So yes, Jeff, this was an amazing event that happened. We are now right up there with everybody else.
Wow, side by side with all the other, news channels. And
quote unquote.
Yeah. M. McKinnon, thank you so much. 5 Rumble gifts, subscriptions, and also Cram, thank you very much. And it looks like you got your Red Castle as well, because somebody else gave one. I can't remember who it was here. I'd have to go look. Oh, Kimmy got you one. And thank you guys so much for those subscriptions. And we hope you're doing that on the webpage. We appreciate it. Clemma, you really want us to go in that? That's the question, and they're gonna wait for our answer. Shady Grove, why did Trump promote Flynn's book and say how great he is on truth?
we will be discussing that with you today on the MG show.
Should we? I mean,
it's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but it's funny how all of these alleged Q decoders, right, that are on General Flynn's team, whether it be on purpose or because they misread the Q drops on purpose or didn't, because you can look at Q drops a couple different ways, and then just show me one, and then act like that's you got to read all of the Flynn drops, and maybe we ought to read his book. Maybe President Trump wants us to read the book. Because I don't think people realize what the book is talking about.
Yeah, maybe we find little tidbits and crumbs that connect to areas that people aren't quite realizing how they're exposing themselves. Is that what you're trying to say, sir?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. And the timestamp leads up to something that I did that morning talking about is the Keystone, General Flynn, and Five Eyes. And the timestamp is 1336. Go to 1336. Does it say anything about Five Eyes? And, remember when, in Kellogg's book, was it Kellogg's book? Well, it was also reported publicly that he wanted to sell Saudi Arabia secrets. Is that in that post too? I mean, guys, look, just because he's still, by the way, I just checked, Trump is still not following Flynn on True Social or Twitter.
You checked right before we went on air.
So what I'd like to do is just, let them take their little victory lap, okay? They're still treating Trump supporters like shit, okay? I mean, let's just be honest. I am a Trump supporter. I don't support Flynn, and that's okay. You can do what you want to do. But then you come after me with these vulgarities.
Well, it's not just it's about what his people are doing and what they're doing to the cabinet. I support everything that Donald Trump is doing. I support Pam Bondi. I support Kash Patel, and I'm not going to allow these guys to persuade me or even have the ability to demean or demoralize the people that I respect. You guys know me. You guys know what we went through on this show, and you saw the way that of my personal and Jeff as well disrespect for RFK Jr. whenever he was trying to come up against Donald Trump. But then what happened? What happened is he was brought into the fold and he was made normal. He was normalized by Donald Trump. These people that we're talking about over here, they've not been normalized by Donald Trump. They've been out or ostracized or kept away from Donald Trump. And that's the reason that they're so mad. And you got Ivan Ranklin out there on the stage, literally bashing every single person in the administration.
Yeah. So Trump's hyping General Flynn's book on True Social. Got it. I'm thrilled that Flynn is not in the Trump administration V.2.0. Exactly. Okay. The guy pushed martial law vibes. That is a fact, guys. He wanted martial law to seize the voting machines and got kicked out. All these psyops treated you like crap. It's a hard pass for me on Flynn. You're not going to convince me, and you're not going to convince me by attacking me either. Okay. They wanted Flynn as VP. Remember that, Shady Grove? Remember?
I do remember.
Yeah. Do you remember when General Flynn said that Trump was going to be the president?
Yes, for the next 4 years, whenever it didn't happen.
Yeah. So they can plug the book and keep Flynn sideline. Not in Trump administration is the real W. Can I see a W in chat for we're still winning, no matter what they think?
What they do means nothing to us.
Mm-hmm. So, and do you remember this too? And this is from C Page. Thank you, Rebel Valkyrie. So these are individuals who Trump highly praised. Okay, who later opposed him? Mike Pence, Bill Barr, John Bolton, James Mattis, Mark Esper, John Kelly, Alyssa Farah Griffin, Cassidy Hutchinson, Stephanie Grisham, Omarosa Magnolt Newman, Sarah Matthews, Olivia Troy, Ty Cobb, Anthony Scaramucci, Michael Cohen, Betsy DeVos, Elaine Chao, Tom Bossert, Hillary Clinton, Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, Jeff Flake, Ted Cruz, Chris Christie, Rex Tillerson, H.R. McMaster, Rogue, Mick Mulvaney, Mark Miley, Liz Cheney, Ben Sass, Bob Corker, Adam Kinzinger, John McCain, Lindsey Graham, and Nikki Haley. Actions. Words.
Correct. So well done.
Yeah.
Extremely well done, and makes the perfect point that we're going to wring you out like a sponge. We're going to use you till we're done with you.
Yeah. And, the Flynn Network has no choice now. They have to take the little victory lap, and they're allowed that. I'll give them the little victory lap. But, your president, Donald J. Trump, who has an estimated 200 IQ, okay, and Flynn has an estimated 3 IQ.
Four, maybe.
Okay, 4. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Just put the spotlight on General Flynn. The no thank you post, right? I mean, it's not really a thank you post. It's a buy his book, whatever. So did he
Promo.
pay for that? Do you pay for promos? I mean, not directly because that would be a campaign violation, but hey, General Flynn, I'll promo your book if you give money to the RNC, for example. Whatever, a little side hustle bet. But he didn't post a thank you on X, only on True Social. But he'll need to, play nice with President Trump now, or risk losing like a jerk, or looking like a jerk. He risks looking like a jerk, guys, if he keeps this up against Donald J. Trump on X. Watch those Flynn posts. I'm gonna certainly watch them and be laughing. But I think Trump is a strategic genius. Checkmate.
To some degree, he's really. What are you going to do? You're going to go out there and keep bashing him. You're going to keep sending your minions out to hammer on him after he gave you a compliment. He didn't endorse your dumb movie, and you got all pissy. So now he's giving you an endorsement on your book.
Yeah, exactly. And he's still not in Trump's administration.
He's absolutely nowhere near the administration.
But you're bad, Shady. You're bad, Matrix. Bad, bad, bad.
He's because we're overcritical of the way he parallel parks, I think, is the problem.
So let's look at let's look at what General Flynn's minions were doing on the same day, or actually Saturday, the day before that post. You ready?
I want to see them and how they support this historic, remarkable, unbelievable, epic administration that we have been being blessed to have, and in the perfect timeline with. I'm sure that they're going to sing their praises.
Yeah. Grandpa C says we're effing clowns. Clowns for what? Because I support President Trump?
Yeah, because we don't like somebody that we can prove is corrupt. Ask Michael Hastings how General Flynn is.
Yeah, ask Michael Hastings and his family how General
Flynn
is.
Oh, wait, you can't. Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Not going to stop, guys, so you might as well go somewhere else.
Is that accountability to you guys? Sending information that we already know? What is an example of accountability for you? Public executions? Does that exist on the books in some states? The capital punishment does. Oh my gosh, I've been saying capital punishment. Oh, some criminal news network reporter is trying to shame me. Are you serious? Are you going to apologize for saying that? Oh, you didn't hear me? It's pronounced capital punishment, okay? And I'm being polite, actually, by using that term. You want me to use a little bit more aggressive vernacular? That's where we're at as a society that mandated this president into his office. And here's why. I'd like to remind you. Iran chanted what? Death to America? James Comey chanted what? To our president of the United States.
Flynn said what to James Comey? He's a very good friend.
Same exact thing. And oh, by the way, Cash, what did you do? He ran away. What about you, Dan? Did you do anything to James Comey for doing this exact same thing and posing an actually increased threat much more greater of a threat than Iran. Looking into it still, huh? Well, guess what? We're going to be looking into you and why you're doing nothing. All of us. Finally, when are the live stream raids? Again, legally, morally, and ethically. I would love to see on James Comey, John Brennan, at a minimum, the following. Tell the audience what happened to you.
All right, so we're just going to leave it there. So he's basically talking smack about Cash, Pam Bondi, and Trump's administration. Okay, this is Flynn's right-hand man. Okay, this is why I don't like Flynn. Am I okay because I don't agree with his deep state marauding BS, Shady?
Yep.
I'm okay, right? We're
You're
still okay.
And I'm just I want to leave it right there because that whole thing that was insane. How much that continued, how much BS was spread. The idea that that somehow who's rounding people up for a deep state target list. Everybody, think about what you're saying. You're talking about. You want to talk about all of these people that claim that you're a white supremacist. All these people that claim that you're like some sort of neo-Nazi, some sort of Christian nationalist. Mm-hmm. But you're seeing them. You're seeing them paint you as that in public. Do you assimilate with that? That's your choice. Are they part of your movement? Does that look like part of the truth movement to you? If that looks like if that looks like part of the truth movement to you, by all means, go over there. But I'm going to sit here and continue to tell you that it's not, and that it has nothing to do with the truth. What that has to do with is an operation between General Flynn and James Comey. You can say whatever you want to put the 8647 out there, and then all of a sudden you can go out and pretend like, James Comey didn't do anything illegal by taking a picture and posting it on the internet. I don't think James Comey did illegal. No rational lawyer on earth thinks James Comey did anything illegal. But how does he think that? It's a game. They're playing it against Donald Trump. And the idea that, just saying, the idea that he's willing to go out in public and do that, keep it up.
Yeah. So I want to go ahead and just real quick, because all we do is talk about Flynn here. This is the timestamp. Funny, President Trump is a spotlighting Flynn. Funny how Q repeatedly talked about timestamps. Why didn't the Flynn Q decoders not look at Trump's timestamp of 1336? That confirms Five Eye and more. So this is Q post on timestamps. This is 335 timestamp Q post 3 against POTUS tweet 13. 453 Q says timestamps important. 455 timestamps have meaning. 985 timestamp is key. 1430. These are the Q posts. Timestamp verify all posts with timestamp are here. But if you look at the timestamp, okay, guys, the timestamp of this is 136. Okay, 136. And let's just read this about General Flynn. Fearless, fraud, fake, FBI, innocent, pardon of innocent, never give up. Okay, I'll just read that, and I pretty much agree with all that. But you're going to look at this. This is the post. Example, Clinton Foundation post. Okay, so why selling secrets? Oh, Flynn wanted to sell secrets of Saudi Arabia nuke to Saudi Arabia nukes. Okay, proven fact.
Not conjecture, not conspiracy, not pretend. Proven fact.
Selling future access to regain control and power. I'm sure he sold access for people to regain control. I mean, he was sitting with, what's his name? Putin, okay, at a dinner table in Russia. Selling silence, I'm sure. Read slowly and carefully. Five Eye. Why do former dignitaries still hold SEC clearance? U.S. to U.S. Logged, flagged, recorded. U.S. in New Zealand. No logs, no flags, no records. U.S. security clearance. Authorization. Five Eye view plus doc take. Read above slowly and carefully. Why do we allow former dignitaries security clearance? Welcome to the deep state. Future proofs past. Now, what's really interesting about that is earlier that day, I posted a dig right here. On June 29th. This is it right here. So this is 9:34 a.m. Okay? The Trump posted at 1:36. My post has this. Could the Keystone Q asked Anons to find be General Flynn? Q post on 11/9/17. Find the Keystone with the Y in the kill box. Note the Y. General Flynn, he's spirit cooking with Never Hillary. Why? drain this out. Note the why. An exclusive interview, and on 9/17/18, Michael Flynn was keystone in the CIA Five Eyes plot to frame Donald Trump. 12/5/17, post 270, Admiral Rogers, no such agency. W&W, POTUS, U.S. military equals what? Apply the keystone, paint the picture. Does applying Flynn paint the Russia hoax? It's my question. And then this is my little GIF I made. Okay? There it is. There's his post. Okay? This is the keystone. Yep. And there's
why highlighted for no reason, by the way.
Isn't that interesting? Find the keystone and the why. The graphic is essential. So you guys can go all take your little victory lap, but we know better and we're okay. And again, Flynn is not being followed by President Trump on Truth Social or Twitter. So you can take your L's, guys, because we take our W's. And by the way, we kept the best ones, generals, okay? That's what Trump said last week at NATO. We kept the best ones. Let me ask you, is General Flynn in the administration?
No.
All right, so there. I think that's our statement.
I think that the point of what you're saying is this: during where the time where Donald Trump was president in the first administration, and the time that Q was posting, and everything that was going on and everything that was happening, every single narrative was built around the idea that General Flynn was going to be in the next administration, especially after the 2020 loss and Donald Trump left and Joe Biden was elected. Every single digital soldier told you ad nauseum that General Flynn was going to be in the administration. We told you otherwise. We told you 2 years ago plus that there was no way that he was going to be part of the administration. There's too much heat there. Doesn't matter what the heat is. The heat's all over the place. We talk about it all the time. Doesn't really matter. The point being, Donald Trump is not being advised by General Flynn, and Donald Trump is not being advised by Roger Stone. And Donald Trump is extremely successful by being advised by Susie Wiles. And we are seeing an unbelievable amount of arrests that are happening from the FBI in many different sectors of the criminal enterprise out there. I'm seeing white collar arrests and blue collar arrests. If you go back in time to 10 years ago, tell me sometime in the Obama administration, whenever you saw somebody with a white collar go to prison.
Yeah. And again, this is Trump Flynn, FAFO 2024. They wanted him to be VP. Okay, guys? And now she's saying all the Flynn haters can pound sand. President Trump's endorsement of General Flynn's new book must really chap their sorry asses. Sorry, I just got my copy today. Well, I got my copy, and we're going to go over it, and you guys are going to be blown away at what we found. Okay?
It seems to me like Flynn not being in the administration is chapping your ass.
That's right.
That's what it looks like to me. It looks like Ivan Ranklin is upset that he's not in the administration. It looks like Alex Jones is upset that Flynn is not in the administration. It looks like Roger Stone is very upset that Flynn is not part of the administration. Therefore, the pressure campaign to make him part of it didn't succeed.
Right. All right. So we've got limited time. We got a press secretary coming in. We can do that decode some other day. It's just to keep you guys in. I mean, you really need to read that book.
It's going to be good.
It's going to chap your asses. This is what it's going to do.
We're going to do it on the air.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
We're going to give it a big endorsement. We're going to read it to you live.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, guys. And, so I don't stand. So the Flynn network is out there trying to get violence against people that are in Trump administrations. I mean, that's exactly what's happening. And we're going to be on Scott McMahon tomorrow. And we're going to discuss these findings, guys.
And also, I would like to thank everybody again, real quick, before we move into this. I would like to thank everybody for joining us. We had a nice, large audience. The audience on Friday is getting bigger. What an epic episode that we had to break down the in-depth nature and the blueprint of how in the world did these people actually occupy and control your country through the trust network and through the Federal Reserve and the bloodline families. They all scream and yell at you that you're a racist if you talk about this stuff, if you mention the bloodlines. But at the same time, look at what everybody out there is doing in public about trying to divide everybody. How can you have it both ways? How can you be completely centered on race? Everything you talk about is race. But whenever somebody tries to talk about the multiple different religions that are being controlled and usurped by the same entity, then you're at a full stop somehow.
That's right. And so that's where we're at. So there's another person that Trump hired. I don't like Sebastian Gorka, but I'm not being attacked by that. How come Dilley isn't being attacked because of the Flynn Network? Why is it only us?
That's a good point. That is a good point. Nobody out there.
He came out against the Flynn Network, right?
Yes, he's completely out against the Flynn Network, and nobody really made any post to talk about Dilley yesterday.
They attack who they're afraid of the most, and it must be us, guys. So badge of honor, wear it proudly. And let's get into Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo. This is a breaking Fox News Trump interview. It aired on Sunday. Very interesting, Shady. Good stuff in here, and we'll pause it if you want to make some comments. You ready?
Okay. Yep, I am.
Let's go.
I've only heard about 10 minutes of it.
Wow, that's good.
And get it to the president's desk before.
Oh, it's over.
Uh-oh. They got it. They snagged the video. Hang on.
Oh, now we don't have it prepared.
All right, but
we have a backup.
We have a backup because Yeti actually saved my life. I got it.
Just a second. Please stand.
No, let me get it. No. Because I hear it in the background. And I'm trying to do something. What? You guys can't hear Yeti. Sorry, guys. It's only me. Maybe I'm only arguing with myself. I don't even know.
You can just sit here and argue with yourself. It's fine.
So Yeti said he had it. They had it over here in my text messages now that are. I don't know what I can do. Yeti, it's in my text messages.
Wow.
Yeti. All right. Jeez. I got it. Oh, there it is. See?
Look at that.
Oh my gosh, Yeti. Okay. Yeti did save my life. I'd like to thank Yeti out in open that I love him very much, and he's my favorite Yeti ever.
He is by far my favorite Yeti.
He's got our back, even though I'm like,
and he's got hair on his.
Wow, I'm such a jerk. I think we need to incorporate Yeti into our counseling.
I think we need to incorporate him into the show. How much would you guys like for Yeti to come in and like talk to? Oh no, he's backing away.
He's got a sound effect that says, "Oh hell no!"
That's what we're.
All right, here we go.
Mr. President, you were just coming off of one of the most consequential weeks anybody has ever seen, from striking Iran to going to NATO, to announcing 2 deals, and then the Supreme Court victory. Have you been able to digest what has occurred in the last 7 days?
Not really. It was a pretty wild period of time. And I really think in 6 months, we've taken the country and turned it around. I was told by the King of Saudi Arabia, by the leader of Qatar and the leader of UAE, when we went over there, we brought back $5.1 trillion investment into the United States. They said, you're presiding now over the hottest country in the world. And a year ago, we thought your country was dead. It could never come back. It was so incompetently run by a very bad president. And I said, you're right. This country is hot. And that was a couple of months ago. Now we're talking about what we've done recently. So the country is really going. The numbers are great. I watch you in the mornings, and you're giving those numbers, and they're really good. No inflation. We have a bad Fed chairman, but other than that, we have. It doesn't even matter. The numbers are so good. It doesn't matter that he keeps the rates artificially high. But it's been an amazing period of time.
When you went to the Middle East and you strengthened those relationships with all of those countries you just mentioned, did you have an idea that you would have to do something with regard to Iran? Because you teased it a little. You said, look, they've got to come to the table and talk. Something's going to happen.
Well, it was getting a little bit hot, and we knew they had a lot of sites, probably 3 plus the 1. But they had 3 main sites, and we knew they're going to have to either give them up. And I thought we could do it during negotiation, and we just about had it done. And then they said, we want enrichment. Enrichment doesn't mean like air conditioning, and it doesn't mean to jack up your car. Enrichment is a bad word. And I said, you got so much oil. What do you need that for? And they said, well, we need it. And I wouldn't let that happen. I think people wouldn't have understood it if I allowed that to happen. So we had a 60-day talk, and that delayed them a lot. And then we said, let's go at it. And it just worked out. And we wanted to work out also for Iran. They were beaten up, and so was Israel, in all fairness. They were both very tight. We call it the 12-day war. That was an intensive war. But the thing that I wanted to do, and I've said it on your show, if you look back 30 years ago or 25 years, we've been doing your show a long time, and nobody like you. But you look back at the early interviews, I would say Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They've wanted this for years, and they were weeks away from getting it. And those pilots went in there with those beautiful planes and the most sophisticated bombs anywhere in the world. Think of it, they can go 30 stories deep into granite. Who would think that's even possible? And they did obliterate it, it turned out. Then we had to suffer the fake news, where the fake news in CNN and the New York Times was saying, well,
I just think that's interesting. It's very interesting the way that he's setting this all up for you guys. So whenever he's saying they were weeks away from getting the nuclear weapon, what he's really telling you is that the energy of the people that are utilizing Iran as their cudgel against you are getting ready here in the very near future to start ramping up their rhetoric that Iran has the nuclear weapon, so that we can use that as a way to impugn Donald Trump's administration in the future. Okay, this is what they were setting up for. This is the same exact thing this is what Q was explaining to you, how the dynamic works between what do you do with a boogeyman state? How do you use the boogeyman state? Well, this is what they were doing. They were ramping up this rhetoric in the background. Trump's team could clearly see that they were getting ready to start this whole thing that, Iran is getting ready to do the war and da-da-da. So how do you get rid of that narrative? How do you eliminate it? How do you kill it? How do you do something that nobody would expect you to do, including the globalists, including people like McChrystal, including people like Flynn and Brennan and all of these other players that think they've got you over a barrel? If you understand what that means, to have you over a barrel means to have you in a position where you can't get out of. Trump is never in that position, and I think he proved that so beautifully with what he did here, because he effectively took all of their energy and momentum that was building up in the background, and now it just went poof.
Poof. Poof. Here we go, joining President back here again.
Maybe it wasn't as good as Trump said. Maybe it wasn't totally obliterated, but it was destroyed, but not just horrible. And I could see it happening, and they tried to build that into a story. And then it turned out, no, it was obliterated like nobody's ever seen before. And that meant...
That's right. I had my friend text me going, oh, Trump's going to go re-hit him again. He's going to do it again. I'm like, no, it's fake news. Who reported that? He gave me a CNN article. Okay. These people cannot control the narrative anymore. We follow President Donald J. Trump. Nobody else.
And that backs up exactly what I was just saying, is now that they've lost the narrative, what are they going to do? Oh, they're going to pretend like you didn't destroy their nuke so they can pretend to threaten you again.
Aha.
Yes.
At the end to their nuclear ambitions, at least for a period of time. And, a lot of people have said, well, do you think they're going to start again? I said, the last thing they want to do right now is think about nuclear. They have to put themselves back into condition and shape.
You tweeted the Democrats leaked intelligence.
They should be prosecuted.
Who specifically? Do we know who did it? Will you be able to find out?
They can find out. If they wanted, they could find out easily. You go up and tell the reporter, national security, who gave it. You have to do that. And I suspect we'll be doing things like that.
Well, those pilots were so courageous, and, you want to honor them. Are you going to do something for them?
Yes, they're going to come to the White House. But what you said is right. These people flew 36 hours in a small space, a big plane, but a small space that was mostly occupied by bombs. And they flew so brilliantly, and they hit a target the size of this circle. A little target, they say, half the size of the refrigerator door, from 50,000 feet up in the air, going at a rapid speed, because they're going very fast when they're over a pretty rough territory. And they hit it every single time. And then they knocked out 2 other sites aside from that.
Do you think that the Iran regime hid some of the enriched uranium before the strikes?
No, you mean did they take it out of the deep one? No.
Because you were pretty clear you can't have a weapon. You're going to have to come to the talk. Something's going to happen.
I don't think they did. No, I think, first of all, it's very hard to do. It's very dangerous to do. It's very heavy, very, very heavy. It's a very hard thing to do. Plus, we didn't give them much notice because they didn't know we were coming until just, then. And nobody thought we'd go after that site because everybody said that site is impenetrable. You can't, you're not going to be able. This way they did. It's at the bottom of a mountain. And it's granite. Granite's the hardest stone, and it's granite. So, no, they didn't. But I do believe they had people there because you had cars. They were saying cars. And those were masons. Those were people working with concrete. They were trying to seal up the entrance to where the bomb would most likely go in. And they did that. They were working on that, and the bomb went through it like it was butter, like it was absolute butter.
Because I saw reports that there were 400 kilograms, 800 pounds that they moved, but I wonder if it's
saw that report from the same people that told you it wasn't successful.
They didn't move anything.
They moved themselves. They were all trying to live. They didn't move anything. They didn't think it was going to be actually doable what we did. And what we did was amazing. And we went, there are energy commissions that went there now. No, it's just thousands of tons of rock in that room right now. That room, the whole place was just destroyed. And the other 2 also. Now, Israel was able to do damage, but we did the final damage. And we have the greatest submarines in the world. We launched 30 rockets from submarines. Every single one of them hit their target.
How will you know if he tries to start things up again? Because Iran just said that they are halting cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog.
The last thing they're going to be doing right now, for a period of time at least, is nuclear. They've had it. They've been trying it for 25 years. The last thing they're going to do is nuclear. We had to hit them, though. They were close to getting a nuclear bomb, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I've heard from people inside Iran that the regime in Iran has executed more Iranian civilians in the past 48 hours than the number of Iranians who died in the 12-day war. So, I mean, you've got a regime that's been building ballistic missiles, building or trying to build a nuclear weapon. Why should we think that they're actually going to give up on this?
Well, they might not give up, but they're going to give up on it while they're exhausted. They are exhausted. They took hits like nobody's ever taken. And frankly,
hang on a second.
Israel is tied.
So, okay, quick point. Why do you think that they're going to give up on this? Look at the way that she's constantly trying to engineer a new narrative. They need a new narrative. Let me tell you why. Because nobody is dumb enough any longer in or under the Donald Trump administration to sell them any more uranium like they sold them under the Obama administration, where they shipped it over there and they put it down there in that bunker. The point at which you put uranium 20, 10, 15, 30 stories underground, it does never come out above ground, guys, unless it's on the end of a weapon. These people are insane. They need a narrative badly. They are completely stuck, and now they're broke because they have no way to attack Donald Trump with a threat, and he can actually engineer peace, guys. Like, you have no idea how much this is going to allow him to engineer peace. Nobody's going to be afraid of somebody that's not a threat. So the only thing the news has been doing ever since this happened is trying to gain back the narrative that Iran is somehow still a threat. And every single thing that Maria says lines right up with the globalists' needs to have an Iranian threat to threaten the world so that we capitulate to some sort of terms.
That's right, and we know that Iran and North Korea are rogue military intelligence agencies, and Mossad. We know that, when you look at these, this is the narrative, right? Then my friend was all upset at regime change. You and I know Trump posted, well, maybe they do need a regime change. MIGA, make Iran great again, which is in the Q post, which means the people need to rise up and take their country back from these globalist deep state hacks.
That's exactly right. And they have an issue with the idea that they control the oil. If the people of Iran were able to get control of the oil for the people of Iran, it would be one of the richest countries on earth.
Yeah. And it's beautiful there. Yeah.
It is very beautiful there. We would go visit Iran.
Yeah, I would go.
I would go with you.
Let's go. All
All
right.
right. Let's do it together.
Me, you, and Q-Shaw. Let's go.
I want to go. I was going to say I want to go with Mac.
Yeah. He can show us around. All right, guys, back to this because this is huge, guys. Trump is acting, to vow to stop Iran from getting nukes. Period. The end. I mean, and they're saying, oh, it wasn't destroyed. Oh, they moved the uranium. Oh, regime change. You see what they're doing, guys? Shady's pointing it out perfectly.
So insane.
Mm-hmm.
It was the perfect time. We went in,
Gotcha.
we destroyed their nuclear capability, and we stopped. It was a beautiful thing. And they couldn't have gone on much further. And Israel was that was a very intense 12 days. Very, very intense.
Has any other country suggested to you recently, as a result of this, that they want to join the Abraham Accords?
Yes. So we have some really great countries in there right now. And I think we're going to start loading them up because Iran was the primary problem. I actually thought Iran would. I actually thought we had a period of time where I thought Iran would join the Abraham Accords along with everybody else. And frankly, they would have been better off than where they are right now.
And what about the Abraham Accords? Would Syria enter?
Well, I don't know. But, I did take off the sanctions at the request of some of the other countries in the area that are friends of ours. I took off the sanctions on Syria to give them a chance at, the sanctions are biting. They're very strong. And we have sanctions on Iran, too. And, you take them off when I sort of gave the expression today, you get more sometimes with honey than you do with vinegar.
Well, you waived the sanctions on the oil with regard to China. So
you mean
you're
like with giving compliments to people's books?
Oil?
Not like with giving compliments to people that you are really not much a fan of, I'm sure.
Are we live?
My eyes twitching.
No, I didn't say that. We have the sanctions on. And if they do a job and if they can be peaceful and if they can show us they're not going to do any more harm, I would take the sanctions off, and the sanctions would make a big difference, as you know. When I was, we had a great success in the first term. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. By the way, it's going to be absolutely, this is better. This is going to be, I think, even much better. But we had the greatest economy in history. And we use sanctions. You use them very carefully. Sanctions cost us a lot of money. It's not just, gee, we're going to put sanctions on. When you do sanctions, it costs a lot of money. But I would, one of the things I was thinking about doing, you start waiving them for countries like, if they behave themselves like Iran, where they can sell oil and they can do the things that you want to be able to do. The sanctions are very powerful, and it makes it difficult. I'm not looking to make it difficult. I want them to have a good life. But they were trying to develop a bomb. And the reason you try and develop a bomb like that is to use it.
But I want to get your take on China, really, because you've announced an agreement with the Chinese Communist Party, where China will export the rare earth minerals.
Yeah.
What does that mean in terms of this upcoming tariff structure? You've got a pause in terms of the more steep tariffs that ends August 12th. Are you going to extend that? Are you going to keep that in place or go back to a higher tariff on China?
China's going to be paying a lot of tariffs, but we have a big deficit. They understand that. I have a great relationship with President Xi. We have to do something about the deficit because we have a big trade deficit with China. Biden let it get up to $1 trillion. Think of it, $1 trillion deficit with one country. He let them just take them over the coals. We're not going to do that. But we're doing a rare earth deal, but we're also doing, remember, we have all of the airplane parts. They can't fly their airplanes without us. So we had, some guards also. But it should have never gotten that way because we should have been doing they call it magnets. It's rare earth, but they call it magnets, a specific type. And they're making those magnets for us right now, and things are well. And we have a deal with China. It's a good deal, I think, hopefully for everybody. We had a deal with China where it was 145% tariffs. And I will tell you, everything stopped in China. I saw that. Everything stopped. And we did China a favor, but we're getting along well with China. I think getting along well with China is a very good thing, but they are paying substantial tariffs.
Well, I noticed that because it seems like you go so far with China, but you don't sort of use the leverage that you can use. I mean, look.
If I ever had to use it, I'd use it, but when there's no reason to use it, that's good too.
Well, we did just arrest 3 or 4 Chinese nationals who tried to bring a pathogen into the country that gets people sick and destroys food supply. We've got hacking.
You don't know where that came from, though. I mean, did that come from the country, or is that 3 wackos that happened to carry something? You know, you just don't.
Well, there was one that he signed that he would be, one of them signed a paper saying that he would value Mao Zedong's value system. So there was that. And then they hack into our telecom system. They've been stealing intellectual property. They fentanyl, COVID. I mean, you know, all of this stuff. So how do you negotiate with obviously a bad actor and trust them on economics?
You don't think we do that to them? We do.
So
we do a lot of things.
That's the way the world works?
It's the way the world works. It's a nasty world.
And then you just do a trade deal?
We do. Well, we made a lot of money with this trade deal. You know, I do a trade deal if it works. We made a lot of money with the trade deal.
You think that China is going to stop bullying companies to give them information in terms of in exchange for getting those rare earth minerals now?
The companies shouldn't put themselves in that position. You know, they really shouldn't. Now, I will say this: China right now needs those companies much more than they needed them 2 years ago. 2 years ago, China could do that. Today, they can't because they need those companies. They need Apple. They need all of, you know, Apple's spending $600 billion, $700 billion in the United States. Building plants, they were never going to do that. Think of it, $700 billion. But a lot of the companies that are in China are now relocating back to the United States. So yeah, China's going to treat them much better as they need them. They didn't need them under Biden because they were ripping us off left and right. They need them under Trump.
You just had a big success at NATO, getting the members to agree to spend more on defense. Is there anything you can do to get Congress to codify this? To get their governments to codify it?
You can. What you do, the best insurance is if they don't do it, you leave. You don't do business with them anymore. You know, you don't do business. You have to have a certain trust, but you can also say trust but verify. But we're making unbelievable discounts.
There is litigation around the legality of those tariffs. Are you going to be able to get more trade deals done before you hear from the International Court of Appeals in August?
Sure, but we won the litigation and we had the delay and we had some radical left judge, and then we had it overturned. And we're doing well in all of our litigation. We're doing well on the tariff litigation. Look, if some judge said we can't do tariffs, we would fall prey to the rest of the world who would do tariffs and are doing tariffs on us. If we couldn't fight them back with tariffs, this country would be in terrible shape. We would be like this innocent lamb being led to slaughter. So, no. We're doing great on economics. We're doing great on tariffs. Tariffs is just a part of it. We're drilling like never before. That's how the oil got down low.
The Supreme Court victory that you got today, Friday, do you think that could apply to the tariff litigation that's pending here in terms of the legality of your tariffs? Does that affect that at all?
It could. But again, the tariff litigation, if you look at it, there are alternatives if we have to use them. They're not as good because they're not as direct. They're not as biting, but they're very good. So that you have alternatives. But we want to use this particular asset, this particular grouping, the words of this are so beautiful. They were meant for it. But what happens with the tariffs is that if a judge ruled against us, and this is part of how you win, fairness is also a part of the law. If a judge ruled against us on tariffs, we would fall prey to other countries destroying us. We can't do that. If they do tariffs on us, we do tariffs on them. If they charge us, we charge them. Then they never charge us.
I want to move on to the big, beautiful bill. And you have asked to have this on your desk by July 4th. You think you're going to get it in that timing?
I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you that. I hate to say yes. I'd like to say yes. But the problem is if we're 2 days late or 5 days late, everybody says, oh, you had a tremendous failure. Whatever it is, as long as we have it. It's very important. If we don't have it, there's a 68% tax increase. If we don't have it, you know, the debt ceiling extension is very important. They gave a debt ceiling, the Republicans gave a debt ceiling because of the importance of doing it. They did that for the good of the country, and Republicans voted for that. They did a big favor. I don't know that I would have done it, to be honest with you, but whatever. They did a favor. Now the Democrats won't do that favor back. In other words, you never want to violate your debt covenants. So they gave, you know what I'm saying, they gave this 4 months early. It was due on September 28th, right before the election. A group of Republicans got together and said, you know what, this is so serious. We should do this for the good of the country. I understand that. Now it's their turn to do it, and they won't do it. There are a lot of bad people in the Democrat Party.
How are you going to deal with the $9 trillion that's coming due this year?
Just turn it over. Oh, well, let me tell you that we're going to do it this way. We're going to turn it over short term because we have a stupid person at the Fed. If he would lower the rates, but I don't want to have to pay for 10 years debt at a higher rate. And then when you get somebody into the Fed who's going to be able to lower the rates, we should be at 1% or 2%. You know, if you look at Switzerland, they're the lowest right now. They're at much less than 1 point. And frankly, we should be there too, because without the United States, the whole world doesn't work.
And you teased a couple of names. You said you have a couple of people in mind
I have
as a
three.
successor to Jay Powell.
They'll all be good, yeah.
But you're not going to do that right now. So why do that? Just to put more pressure on him to come in?
People that know, because reporters ask me, I mean, do you have other names? And I say, yeah, I do. Anybody but Powell.
And would it be Kevin?
It's not that he's a bad person.
Yeah.
Kevin is very talented, but I don't know if it's going to be him, but he's a very talented guy. He wouldn't be doing what Powell is.
Mr. President, I think I know your priorities in the big, beautiful bill. I mean, obviously, you want to get the tax cuts extended, and you've got other tax cuts.
Any other things, though, takes care of the border. There's also no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime.
But I've spoken to a few senators, and they've gotten together, like Rick Scott and Ron Johnson and Mike Lee. And, you know, Rick Scott's worried about the overall cost, and Mike Lee is worried about the Inflation Reduction Act. And, you know...
the Inflation Reduction Act is what caused a lot of problems.
So why don't you just take that out?
It was the Biden administration.
Why are there still green subsidies in that?
I'm all for that. I think we shouldn't be giving money to all of these scams. But what happened is some of them have been started, like projects. And if you stop it, it's in the middle. So I understand that, too. And people work there, and they're, you know, working there, and they're from the district of a congressman or a senator. But no. The Inflation Reduction Act was another Biden scam. And when I say Biden, it's not Biden. It was the lunatics that work around the, you know, in the Oval Office, around the beautiful Resolute desk. It's not Biden, because I don't think Biden knew what was happening. I think that the auto pen is one of the biggest scandals in the history of this country, because the person that operated the auto pen was the president of the United States. And I think that that's going to be sought out, and we're going to find out what happened.
Well, I believe it's this week that's 1 year ago, which was the debate where his mental capacity was exposed to so many people who didn't know it. Many of us saw it, obviously, in advance. And now James Comer at the Oversight Committee wants lots of people to come in. Who would you like to see come in and testify on that? Under oath.
I would say Lisa, who was in there.
Is that the deputy AG at the time?
Yeah,
Lisa Monaco.
He was a big supporter of Andrew Weissman. These are people that I think are very bad people. They had radical left lunatics working there, and they took over that office. They didn't want Biden, and then after a little while they realized he's incompetent. This is really a good thing. And they ran that thing. Look, Biden was never for open borders. Biden was never for transgender for everybody. He was never for men playing in women's sports. He was never for that. Biden is a disaster. This is a disaster. But the worst thing that he's done to us, inflation is terrible, but I've solved that problem already. Inflation is bad, and other things are bad, and many things are, and the fact that we have no respect all around the world for the country, but now we do I think maybe at the high, we took it from the lowest to the highest level in 6 months. But if you look at what he did to the border, is so bad. So much of my time is spent on the border. You know, last month we had no people coming.
I know. What you did.
But the bad part is he let in 21 million people. And we have to check those people. Totally unvetted, totally unchecked. And 11,888 have murdered people. Half of them have murdered more than one person.
All right, so we're going to be going through the break on this. It is 12:58, so Red State Talk Radio. Go to rumble.com/MG Show. Find the show there. Watch us there. We'll continue through the break, and we'll be waiting for Karoline Leavitt.
People come in from gangs, from prisons. They emptied out Venezuela, emptied out its prisons.
Have you been backing away from this, though? Because recently you said, let's ease up on, taking in people who are working, hardworking, like in farms and hotels.
I don't back away. What I do I cherish our farmers. And when we go into a farm and we take away people that have been working there for 15 and 20 years who are good, who possibly came in incorrectly, and what we're going to do is we're going to do something for farmers where we can Let the farmer sort of be in charge. The farmer knows he's not going to hire a murderer. But, when you go into a farm and he's had somebody working with him for 9 years doing this kind of work, which is hard work to do, and a lot of people aren't going to do it, and you end up destroying a farmer because you took all the people away, it's a problem. I'm on both sides of the thing. I'm the strongest immigration guy that there's ever been, but I'm also the strongest farmer guy that there's ever been. And that includes also hotels and, places where people work, a certain group of people work. So we're working on it right now. We're going to work it so that some kind of a temporary pass where people pay taxes, where the farmer can have a little control as opposed to you walk in and take everybody away. But no, the criminals are going out of this country.
Right. You said it from the beginning. You wanted to first focus on the criminal, but I'm wondering if this change.
All right, I'm going to real quick just do this real quick, Yeti, if you could. We've got a lot of things going on right now. We're waiting for Karoline Leavitt, but we'll continue that video until Karoline comes. But if you still haven't tried 1775 coffee, Shady, you're right. I was wrong. I thought it was 1776 coffee, but it is. It's 1775 coffee, and if you haven't tried it, now's your shot. The 1775 coffee starter kit dropped only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold, dark roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check, and smooth medium roast, and Vitality mushroom coffee for that clean energy and laser focus, no crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free, and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a golden spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with a plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions. A black 1775 tumbler that says, I don't take woke and life advice from a caffeine from a woke sea witch. That's $170 worth of coffee and gear right now for $99. This is for the ones that have been watching. 1775 coffee blow up on Rumble. Is it worth it? It is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble and the MG Show does. Start your day with coffee that actually backs in what you believe. All right, Shady, just wanted to get that out of the way. Let's go back to the interview. I've got my eye on the press secretary. All right?
All right, that sounds great. Yeah, I mean, this is really good with Maria, and I really am enjoying the way that they can't get a word in edgewise. Every single thing that they're trying to say, oh, well, this is wrong, or Mike Johnson, or Wiley, or Ron Johnson, or whatever it is, none of it means anything. None of it matters, because what we're doing is something different. These people that are in the media have been playing a different game for the last 40 years or so. That game is over. The future, that what they're doing right there, we're trying to act like these things that other people in news speak about in the New York Times, that's what really matters. They're being diminished more and more every day, guys. That is exactly whenever Trump and Q explain, this is going to be biblical, it was these loud voices in the rooms that we had to shut up so that we could talk.
Yeah. And guys, I want to thank you guys very much. 246 thumbs up. Let's get them going, guys. And if you're here watching this show later, get those thumbs up. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Back to Maria Bartiromo and your President, Donald J. Trump.
Giving people a pass is a response to the critics who said the execution was a little clumsy. People were afraid to go to work. They were afraid to run into ICE. They said, look, if you give a quota to somebody and say, go get me 600 people who are here in the country illegally, they'll come back with 600 people, even if it's not the right 600.
So the execution was unbelievable because you have no people coming through our border anymore. Right. That's part of the execution. So it wasn't clumsy. What was clumsy is the fact that they allowed millions and millions of people to pour into our country. Take a look at some of the scenes. It's on your show all the time where thousands of people are trying to bust through a wall. They literally break down walls. There's so many people, and they're thousands of people, and they have no idea who those people are. This, to me, is the worst part of Biden. The worst thing he did was the whole thing on immigration. Now, with that being said, we know who they are, a lot of them. It's hard when they come in. They have no papers. They have no nothing. Just go ahead in. Everybody can come in. They were emptied. I'm telling you, a lot of the Congo, we just made a deal with the Congo to stop the war. They would empty their prisons into the United States.
Think about that. Give me a
Many
pause.
other countries.
Just think about that for just a second. I want you guys to understand this because it's so It's so frustrating to see the way that they do this. Big corporations were working in conjunction with the cartels for labor. Okay. So just because people are at work doesn't mean that they're not doing something illegally. If, for instance, the chicken farms, all the chicken farms that are out there in North Georgia, okay, if they make a deal with the Mexican cartel for labor, and the Mexican cartel is able to get labor to their facilities that are out there on the range in North Georgia of these chicken farms for cheap work, this is an example, then you tell me, like, are those whatever you call it, necessary labor? Okay, the big corporation has worked in conjunction with a cartel to get human beings. That's human trafficking. Okay, it's human trafficking for any corporation or any business. If you have a business, if you have a business making stuff and you order a bunch of illegal immigrants from the cartel, that is illegal, okay? It's not only just like crossing the border that's illegal, hiring those people is illegal. So whenever ICE comes into a facility in a chicken farm in North Georgia and starts shipping out the illegals that are working that day, these people try to say, oh, you can't throw those people out because they're paying taxes. Guys, they're not paying taxes. The amount of taxes that you would pay on doing that job, literally the amount of taxes you would pay if you were getting paid to do a job of like 15 or 20, they're doing the whole job for that amount. How could they possibly be paying taxes on a third of the labor force, man? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and guys, it's human trafficking. If a corporation does business with a cartel, that's illegal. It's almost like doing business with the mafia, guys. Hello.
It's exactly like that. Like Tyson Foods is guilty of that. These huge multinational corporations are guilty of that. The stuff that they can't ship to Mexico to make, they ship the labor here to do it for them, and you don't see the labor because Biden's flying them in on planes.
Yeah, exactly right. All right, guys, here we go. Back to this, and I got my eye on Karoline Leavitt for the press secretary. She's not there yet, and we're going to continue this interview with Maria Bartiromo and your president, Donald J. Trump. I love it, Shady. Good comments, bro.
Not just South America, Africa, Asia, Europe, parts of Europe, rough parts of Europe. Their prisons were emptied into the United States, and the people, you saw the people, they run into the country. To me, that's a sin that we can never forget. We can never forget what Biden and that group of lunatics that work for him have done to our country.
I believe that half of the world's cobalt is in the Congo.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to help develop that? Will the U.S. participate in developing that cobalt?
Yeah, they want me to. They actually want me to. The head, who is a very respected guy, look, I just stopped the war. This war was going on for 30 years. 6 million people were killed between Congo and Rwanda. And my people came to me, they say, they want you. They don't want China. They don't want Russia. What I will do just sometime prior to the 9th is we'll send a letter to all these countries. There's 200 countries. You can't talk to all of them. No matter how many people you have, you can't talk to all of them. We'll send a letter and we'll say we would consider it a great honor, and this is what you'll have to do to shop in the United States. We're like a department store, to shop in the United States, and you'll pay a 25% tariff, and we wish you a lot of luck. And that's the end of the trade deal, because we have something that nobody has. But if I didn't get elected, I'm telling you, we wouldn't have had a country left. You know that better than anybody. Nobody covers it better than you. If I didn't turn this thing around, this big ship around, we turned it around. Just like those ships coming out of China, they were coming and loaded, and in the middle of the ocean, they were forced to go back because at 145% tariff, Walmart, nobody wanted their product. And that caused a big problem for China. And then I helped China.
So
by reducing it.
We still don't know. We don't have the clarity on what you're going to do with these expiration of these pauses. July 9.
No, I thought I just said it. No, I thought I just said it. You ready?
You're going to send letters.
I'm going to send letters. That's the end of the trade deal. I could send one to Japan. Dear Mr. Japan, here's the story. You're going to pay a 25% tariff on your cars, So we give Japan no cars. They won't take our cars, right? And yet we take millions and millions of their cars into the United States. It's not fair. And I explained that to Japan, and they understand it. And we have a big deficit with Japan, and they understand that too. Now, We have oil. They could take a lot of oil. They could take a lot of other things. But basically, and I'm for doing it right now, we send letters out to all of the countries explaining to them, we'll look at the deficit we have or whatever it is with the country. We'll look at how a country treats us. Are they good? Are they not so good? Some countries, we don't care. We'll just send a high number out. But we're going to be sending letters out starting pretty soon. No, we don't have to meet. We understand. We have all the numbers. Listen, what we're going to do is we're going to send, and we're going to say, congratulations, we're allowing you to shop in the United States of America. You're going to pay a 25% tariff or a 35% or a 50% or 10%.
I'll tell you what the U.S. automakers are worried about. They don't want Japan and Korea to have a lower tariff if you do a deal with them than the U.S. automakers are paying.
Well, the U.S. automakers are going to be so busy selling cars in the U.S., they're not going to even have to worry about it. But that won't happen because I set a tariff. Let's say I take a certain country and I set a tariff at 25 and they're charging 35 or 40. I'll raise the tariff to 35 or 40. And they'll come down.
I want to ask you about AI because there are a couple of companies that are announcing layoffs. They're actually cutting people. Some of these companies are blaming tariffs. Some of these companies are blaming a consumer slowdown, and other people are blaming AI. Okay, you've got Procter & Gamble.
Tariffs is what's bringing the companies in. We have auto companies building plants where they wouldn't have built here in 100 years. We have more investment in the United States right now than we've ever had before. Think of it. Yeah, we're up to almost $15 trillion. Look at this guy from last year. What kind of numbers they were to people leaving? They weren't coming in. Now they're coming in.
Like you've said, you brought wealth back to America.
Wealth and spirit back. We have spirit. People respect our country again. It's very important. I'm a cheerleader also for the country, aside from everything else, like you are. We brought spirit back. We brought respect and dignity back. When I went to the European, I was in that beautiful place with the king and the queen, and it was like beautiful. Everything's so nice. But when I went to the Netherlands and I looked, everybody was coming up, Mr. President, Mr. President. They didn't do that a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. These are the big countries. This is Germany and France and all of them. I mean, a big group of countries. They respect America again. They laughed at us. They thought we were a joke. You had a president that kept falling downstairs and falling on stages and couldn't find an entrance he makes a little speech that lasted for about a half a minute. And he looks around, he's looking for stairs. There's like 6 different stairs and he can't figure out which stair. We were laughed at all over the world. More importantly than that, what they did to the country. What they did to the country with allowing 21 million people will never be forgotten. And I have to rectify that problem, and we've done it. And we're getting all the criminals out.
Mr. President, I just want to ask you about the job cuts from these companies. Some of them are blaming AI. And one CEO told me that AI, artificial intelligence, allows engineers to be at least 25% more productive. It's helpful in contract management. It's helpful in repetitive jobs. It's helpful in data. What can you do to offset the job cuts that will no doubt come as a result of AI efficiency?
One thing, very simple, bring more companies and more jobs. The truth is we don't have enough people to take care of these jobs. So it's like perfect timing. We don't have enough people. My biggest problem is they're coming in and they have to hire thousands and thousands of workers. This is perfect timing. We don't have enough people. If AI is so good, which I hear it is, and there's a lot of money being bet by very smart people, I'll tell you, we are dominating AI. That's the other thing. And they all said, well, we'd have a problem because of electricity. We don't make enough electricity. We would have to double our electric power. Can you believe that? And you know what I did? I had an idea. I said, when you build your plant, you're spending billions. You're going to become a utility, an electric utility. You're going to also build a utility. You're not going to take it from an old grid that's been here for 100 years. You're going to take it right from a new facility. And they actually looked at me. They said, you do that? Of course I would. It's a national emergency. I'm going to approve everything. And you'll have your approval in 2 weeks. And Lee Zeldin is doing an amazing job, the environmental commissioner. I said, Lee, you're going to approve this stuff fast. Make sure it's safe, make sure it's good, but you have to get it done fast. Because in China, you know how long it takes? One day. It's called President Xi. Boom. It's okay. Over here, we're going to have almost the same thing. We're getting fast approvals. and you can do nuclear because nuclear now is safe and good and inexpensive, but you can do oil and gas, you can do coal. And the reason we do coal is because, and I call it clean, beautiful coal. You can really do things with coal today that you couldn't have done. But the beautiful thing about the coal and the thing that I look at, you know who uses coal? China. 59 plants they're opening this year. Right. Coal. You know why? It's very powerful. It's very powerful. So we opened up coal. We were closing all our coal mines all over the country, and yet we still have a lot of coal. We use the generating plants of coal because it's the strongest, and we're doing coal. So we have everything, every form. I don't want windmills destroying our place. I don't want, these solar things where they go for miles and they cover up a half a mountain that are ugly as hell. And by the way, the panels are all made, and the windmills, they're all made in China. Okay?
What did you make of the New York Democrat primary? I'm Donnie.
He's a communist. I think it's very bad for New York. I don't know that he's going to get in. It's inconceivable that but he's a communist, and he's a pure communist. I think he admits it. But I can't imagine.
And guys, real quick, I've got my eye on the actual press secretary right here. That if the White House goes live on Twitter, does not mean that they're live yet. I have it all. So continue with this.
But let's say this: if he does get in, I'm going to be president, then he's going to have to do the right thing, or they're not getting any money. He's got to do the right thing. It's shocking that I would have assumed that. I used to say we will never have a socialist in this country. No, but we'll have a communist. I mean, he's a communist and going to be mayor of New York. So I was very surprised when I said, I never heard of him. I don't know who he is.
Well, he said he's not going to allow ICE to.
He'll be very unsuccessful.
And he said if Benjamin Netanyahu comes to New York, he's going to have him arrested.
Oh, he's a radical left lunatic.
Who would you be poised to support in New York? I know that you.
Well, I don't want to say that because. I have a lot of people, a lot of friends, and I have everybody, so I don't want to get into that. I can tell you this, whoever's mayor of New York is going to have to behave themselves, or the federal government is coming down very tough on them financially.
You said you're stopping all trade discussions with Canada?
Until such time as they drop certain taxes, yeah.
The digital
people don't realize Canada is very nasty to deal with. They've charged our farmers up to 400%, almost 400% on certain products and certain, things while farmers want to send it, they have to pay 200, 300, 400%. People don't know that. Canada is a very tough country to deal with, I will say that.
And by the way, Canada blinked and dropped the digital sales tax. That's breaking news. That was before, that happened after. So they're back at the table.
But and I love Canada.
You have USMCA in place.
I know, but
you'll have to do it.
But USMCA is no good if they cheat.
What does that mean?
Well, there's been things going on that we don't like, and things going on where they took advantage. And hopefully we'll be fine with Canada. I love Canada. Frankly, Canada should be the 51st state. Okay, it really should, because Canada relies entirely on the United States, and we don't rely on Canada.
Mr. President, tell me about the significance of the Supreme Court ruling on the nationwide injunctions. Will that help you?
It took the court system out of the presidency to a large extent. The courts were almost like being the president, and you can't have it. It was such a big decision. This is one of the biggest decisions where you would have a local federal judge who was radical left determining the policy for the whole nation, And now they can't do that anymore. They can go locally, but they can't go all over. A judge from Massachusetts can't make the policy for Oklahoma and other places throughout the nation. So this was a massive decision.
Mr. President, have you spoken to Elon Musk? What happened there?
I think he's a wonderful guy. I haven't spoken to him much, but I think Elon is a wonderful guy, and I know he's going to do well always. He's a smart guy, and he actually went and campaigned with me, and this and that. But he got a little bit upset, and that wasn't appropriate.
Why did he get upset? He just wasn't getting what he wanted?
The electric vehicle mandate, the EV mandate is a tough thing for him, I would think. I don't want everybody to have an electric car. I campaigned on, you have choice. If you want a gasoline powered, if you want a hybrid, I love the electric. I love his cars. I think he's fantastic. But Not everybody should have that, and not everybody wants that. And Biden, who's so stupid, he said everybody has to have an electric car by what, 2030? Okay? I think he said by 2030, which is in 5 years, people don't want that. And how do you do that when you don't have enough electricity? You go to California, where they want everybody to have an electric car, and yet they have brownouts and blackouts every weekend.
Mr. President, let me end on the big, beautiful bill, because here we are right before July 4th. Can you identify anything that you think are big numbers that you could actually cut out so that you could placate or, have Ron Johnson and the other senators who are upset about the price feel better about it?
We're cutting 1.7. Let's see, we're cutting, 1.7 trillion.
How much?
Think of it. I think I just saw the number a little while ago, $1.7 trillion. But we can grow our country so much more than that. And we're not going to have to do. You also have to get elected. When you do cutting, you have to be a little bit careful because people don't like necessarily cutting if they get used to something. And what I want to do is do it through growth. We're going to have growth like we've never seen before.
Mr. President, thank you. And I appreciate you sitting down with us like this.
Thank you very much.
So we were right again. Elon Musk stands to lose billions with the EV mandate. I mean, I would be mad too, wouldn't you?
Yes, and the idea of you would think that on some level that he thought that he could get in there and work a deal or work something out or maybe push it off or maybe keep part of it or something because it's a big deal. For instance, I think they're giving you like $6,000 out here or $5,500 off of the price of a new vehicle to buy one of these things, and the government is supporting that. Everybody, that's a subsidy, and if we want true free markets, we need to get rid of government subsidies, and it's not just for Teslas, but for everything. I don't want a government subsidy going for anything.
That's right. And, so we're still waiting for Karoline Leavitt to brief the members of the media today on June 30th, 2025. We will bring that to you as soon as she comes on. Now, guys, remember, I want you guys to understand that we're watching it, and I got it. So don't worry. We will show it because I think today is going to be a boom of an update because we've got the big, beautiful bill happening, guys. We've got so much happening. We've got the largest fraud case, and here we go, in the DOJ's history.
Great
I think they wait.
I
think she waited, Shady.
She waited for you.
On a scheduling note, tomorrow, President Trump will travel to the great state of Florida to attend the opening of a new illegal alien detention center located at Dade Collier Training alongside Secretary Kristi Noem, Governor Ron DeSantis, Congressman Byron Donalds, and other state and local leaders. We hope to see many of you there. The facility is in the heart of the Everglades and will be informally known as Alligator Alcatraz. There is only one road leading in, and the only way out is a one-way flight. It is isolated and surrounded by dangerous wildlife and unforgiving terrain. The facility will have up to 5,000 beds to house, process, and deport criminal illegal aliens. This is an efficient and low-cost way to help carry out the largest mass deportation campaign in American history. We are truly coming off a historic week of President Trump racking up win after win on behalf of the American people. President Trump restored peace through strength and acted decisively as commander-in-chief to obliterate the immediate threat of the Iranian regime's
Alligator Alcatraz
capabilities, and then brokered a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, which continues to hold. Then, the president traveled to the Netherlands and achieved a monumental win for the United States and the NATO alliance by getting our allies to dedicate 5% of their GDPs to military spending. As a result of President Trump unleashing American energy dominance, summer gas prices are at the lowest they have been in 4 years, heading into the July 4th week. And with the incoming Trump economic boom, the stock market continues to roar back with the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ both hitting record highs. And on this point of an economic boom, I bring to you original correspondence from the President of the United States to our Fed Chair, Jerome Powell. As the President has consistently stated, the American economy is booming. And there were so many economic analysts who said that this president's policies would drive our economy down, when in fact we have seen the opposite. We've seen a massive deregulation campaign take place. We've seen inflation completely diminished from where it was under the reckless spending and the bad policies of the previous incompetent administration. I would remind the Fed chair, and I would remind the entire world, that this is a president who was a businessman first, and he knows what he is doing. He has a proven economic formula that worked in his first term as president, and it is working again. The one problem that remains is high interest rates for the American people. The American people want to borrow money cheaply, and they should be able to do that. But unfortunately, we have interest rates that are still too high. So the president sent this note to the Fed chair today.
Boom!
And if you look at this chart, this is a chart of all of the interest rates
my God.
of many countries throughout the world.
Oh, that's
Top
epic.
is Switzerland. They're only paying a quarter for interest rates. Cambodia, Japan, Denmark, Thailand, Botswana, Barbados, Taiwan, Bulgaria, Cuba, Sweden, Morocco, Cabo Verde, South Korea, Algeria, Canada, Albania,
Hang on, Jeffrey,
Libya,
pause.
Malaysia, China, New Zealand,
This is interesting that she's calling. Okay, this is very interesting that she's doing this right now. I think that we should grab the Q post. This is the Q post telling you that, like, all the feds around the world are controlled by the same head of the snake. And right now, she's making the point to you that, hey, this bloodline family in America bank over here is screwing you over, and the bloodline family, same damn bank, is letting these people borrow for a lot less. What the hell's up with that?
Wow. So the Federal Reserve, remember, there's two Q posts calling out all these Federal Reserves. I don't know if she's going to read this, but Jerome, you are, as usual, too late. You have cost the USA and USA something and continue to do so. Powerful. Okay. Cost the USA. Oh, I don't know what that says.
Can't see it either, man.
Yeah. You should lower the rate by a lot. I love how he says by a lot. Billions of dollars lost. Let's see if she reads it.
Trinidad and Tobago, Czechia, Bolivia, Australia, Costa Rica, the Bahamas, Kuwait, Papua New Guinea, Bosnia, United Kingdom, and the UAE are all paying lower interest rates than the United States of America, which has one of the hottest and strongest economies in the world. The president sent this note to the Fed chair. It says, Jerome, you are, as usual, too late. You have cost the USA a fortune and continue to do so. You should lower the rate by a lot. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being lost, and there is no inflation. And the president is right. There is historically low inflation thanks to his policies. And we will continue to drive down the cost of living in this country for Americans. We will continue to deregulate. And it's also
and by the way, if you want to subscribe to Rumble Premium, we'd appreciate it. We're doing we're getting into the central banks here shortly, and that's a Q-proof, Shady Group. That is a huge Q-proof.
It absolutely is a Q-proof, because why in the world would the same central bank control not be? Why would they be giving favor? Why are you giving favor to countries that are less attractive to a consumer? That's inverted. That's like DEI for finance.
Incredibly important that we pass this one big beautiful bill, which is the largest tax cuts in American history. And that's why the White House and the president himself have been in touch with lawmakers all weekend long to get this bill passed. And they are working very hard to do so. It remains a top priority for the president. And this bill has exposed the clear differences between Republicans and Democrats in 2025. The Democrats are doubling down on craziness and radical policies that are undermining the very fabric of our country. Just look at the Democrat nominee for New York City Mayor, Zohran Mamdani. He's a Democrat socialist, really a communist, who proudly calls to defund the police, peddles anti-Semitism, praises pro-Hamas groups, wants Israel abolished, and believes wealthy Americans should not exist. Those are his words, just as recent as this weekend. Meanwhile, under President Trump's leadership, Republicans are fighting tirelessly for everyday middle-class working Americans who re-elected this president, and we're carrying out a revolution of common sense, and all of that is packed into this one big, beautiful bill. It delivers the largest middle and working class tax cuts in U.S. history. It keeps America safe by funding the largest ever one-time investment.
So Jerome Powell's new name is a tax cuck.
That's awful. Slimy.
Border security. It's enough to reverse the Biden border invasion. And every single Democrat is against that, against securing our border and deporting millions of criminal illegal aliens. The One Big Beautiful Bill also strengthens and protects Medicaid benefits, despite what Democrats are saying, for eligible American citizens who rely on it, like pregnant women, children, seniors, and people with disabilities by eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse that threaten to destroy this program that was intended for the most vulnerable in our society. And every single Democrat in Congress is against rooting out that waste, fraud, and abuse and blocking the 1.4 million illegal aliens who are currently improperly receiving these benefits that should be going to American tax-paying citizens. The Democrats in Congress are more concerned with defending illegal aliens than they are hardworking Americans. And the big, beautiful bill also revitalizes our military and enhances our defense capabilities, protects our country from emerging new threats by funding a cutting-edge missile defense system called the Golden Dome. And as we all know, the one big, beautiful bill makes the Trump tax cuts permanent. The White House and the president are adamant that this bill is passed and that this bill makes its way to his desk. Republicans need to stay tough and unified during the home stretch, and we are counting on them to get the job done. So with that, we will take questions. John Fredericks is in our new media seat today. John, thanks for being here. We'll kick it to you.
Thank you, Caroline. Let's get to the one big, beautiful bill first. It
Sure.
appears now you're going to get at least 50 votes in the Senate. There'll be some amendments. What is the president's confidence level in getting 218 votes in the House by the end of this week in order for him to sign it on Friday?
Well, look, we are very well aware, the president is very well aware, that this bill needs to not only pass out of the Senate, but it needs to go back to the House. And we need the full weight of the Republican conference to get behind this bill. And we expect them to, and we are confident that they will. The president has been working hand in hand with Senate Majority Leader Thune and also our House Republican leader, or the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, both of whom will be at the White House today to meet with the president yet again. I believe they were here this morning, actually.
I have one follow-up.
Sure.
You outlined Jerome Powell and the note that the president just sent to him. There are many who believe that Powell has been politicized in a lot of different ways. The president has not been shy about acting on things that he believes in. Why not just fire Jerome Powell and put in somebody that is going to lower rates? Why wait?
Well, it's a good question, and one you can ask the president because that's a decision for him to make. But you're right to point out the politicization of the Fed, and it's very unfortunate for our country. But Jerome Powell cut rates numerous times ahead of the election when Joe Biden was in this Oval Office, but now he refuses to, and the economy is in a much better place. So there really isn't a good explanation for that, and the president is rightfully calling attention to it. Kelly.
Good afternoon. On Iran, the president posted on his social that he is not even talking to them anymore. When we were at NATO, he said he expected the U.S. and Iran to have talks as early as this week and that he might even want to see a written agreement. What is the update now if he's saying he's not even talking?
So as I told you from the podium last week, I said the administration, and namely our special envoy, Steve Witkoff, has been in communication both directly and indirectly with the Iranians. That communication continues. The president himself has not talked to Iran, which he pointed out in his truth statement. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. Does President Trump want Zohran Mamdani deported?
I haven't heard him say that. I haven't heard him call for that. But certainly he does not want this individual to be elected. I was just speaking to him about it and his radical policies that will completely crush New York City, which is obviously a city that the president holds near and dear to his heart.
There's this Congressman Andy Ogles. He wants the Attorney General Bondi to explore denaturalization proceedings because he thinks Mamdani could have misrepresented or concealed material support for terrorism based on rap lyrics he wrote in 2017. President Trump thinks this is a worthwhile use of the Attorney General's time.
Well, I'll let the president speak to that. I have not seen those claims, but surely if they are true, it's something that should be investigated.
And could President Trump see himself, you said you just talked to him about this, could he see himself working with a mayor, Mamdani, somebody who on Meet the Press this weekend was given 3 chances to condemn the phrase globalize the intifada, but he couldn't?
Yeah, look, the president is always willing to work with everyone. He's working with Democrats across the country, Democrat governors, and he said he'll work with people on the far left. He works with Republicans. He works with people in the middle. He wants to do what's right for America, but surely someone who holds these values and is quite literally a communist and condemns every value that makes this country great. Common sense, law and order, low taxes, working hard, and earning your keep in this country. He's against all of that, and I think the president would find it difficult to work with someone like that. If he is elected, I'm sure you'll hear more from the president on that, but we'll have to see. Hopefully the voters of New York City choose wisely. Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. The president on Friday said that he was hopeful of a Gaza deal within the next week. Can you give us an update on any progress towards that, and on any talks that the White House is having with Israel on that?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, I know that Mr. Dermer is in Washington this week to meet with senior officials here at the White House. I also know that this administration is in constant communication with Israeli leadership, and the president himself speaks frequently, as you know, to Prime Minister Netanyahu. But this has been a priority for the president since he took office, to end this brutal war in Gaza. It is because of this president that humanitarian aid is being brought into the region. It's heartbreaking to see the images that have come out from both Israel and Gaza throughout this war, and the president wants to see it end. He wants to save lives. And however, the main priority for the president also remains to bring all of the hostages home out of Gaza. As you know, his tireless effort has brought home many of the hostages, including all of the American hostages who were held there. So he wants to see both things happen, and we're continuing to work very hard to do those things. Sure.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. What is the White House's response to Senator Tillis's criticism articulated from the Senate floor yesterday, in which he said passing the big, beautiful bill would betray President Trump's promise to protect Medicaid?
Well, he is just wrong. And the president and the vast majority of Republicans who are supportive of this legislation are right. This bill protects Medicaid, as I laid out for you, for those who truly deserve this program. Pregnant women and sick Americans who physically cannot work. And what it does is it ensures that able-bodied Americans who can work 20 hours a week are actually doing so, and that will therefore strengthen and protect those benefits for Americans who need it, as well as cutting out the waste, fraud, and abuse, as well as getting 1.4 million illegal aliens off of the program. So all of those measures are actually going to protect it for those who need it. That's the president's position, and that's what this bill does, and that's why Republicans need to vote for it and get it to the desk.
That kind of criticism from a Republican senator, is that reason for concern for the passage of this?
No, it's not. Confident this bill is going to be back at the White House.
Let's pause it just a second.
Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline.
So I'd like to talk to you guys before she moves on about the whole Tillis situation, and I'd like to connect that again, as we've been doing here on the show. Like, what is this connected to, everyone? What are you hearing about? Your Tom Tillis is like bringing up, he's like, what? He's getting uber over the top concerned. What's he concerned about? He's concerned about Medicaid. What's the problem with Medicaid? The problem with Medicaid is there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, maybe a million illegal immigrants that are on Medicaid. Why is that a problem for Tom Tillis? Where does Tom Tillis hail from? Oh, yeah, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. The senator from North Carolina. The literal, what do you want to call it? The root problem of the Pesor Empire comes from where? Oh, yeah, North Carolina. Why are you being argumentative, sir? Why is Donald Trump coming out? Why would you care so much and stand up to protect Medicaid and then immediately say you're not looking for re-election? That doesn't make any sense to me. You would think that if you didn't want to go for to run for election again, that you would shut your pie hole and allow the country to move forward.
So may I go ahead and show you the Q proof? This is Senator Tom Tillis announces he's not seeking re-election in 2026. Q post number 24. Any person making statements they will not be seeking re-election was put in submission for the betterment of the country and will not be prosecuted and will all do as told. Now, this is one of those pesky Q proofs because President Trump put a lot of public pressure. What was there, 4 or 5 truths about Tom Tillis? And look what happened, guys. Q proof, post 24.
Directly in public, even because he's showing you exactly like some of the things that we think were going on in the background before with these people who were exposed, who had things in their closet. Well, you get your chain yanked. This guy got his chain yanked right in public, and he comes out and immediately bends the knee.
Yep, bends the knee. He was put in submission. Back to Caroline.
Boom.
2 questions. On the New York mayoral race, does the president plan to make an endorsement? And secondly, on Jerome Powell,
I know.
A lot of the focus
Thank
obviously
you.
has been on interest rates and him keeping them high, but a new controversy erupted today. My colleague first reported that he's facing Chairman Jerome Powell is facing accusations of lying to Congress, which is a potential crime, about luxurious details of the Fed's $2.5 billion renovation project. Senator Loomis has called attention to this. Some experts want him to be investigated. Does the White House want these allegations investigated and, if found substantiated, punished?
I'll have to take a look at those allegations, and I will raise them to the president's attention and let him speak on them himself. To your first question regarding the mayoral race, the president was asked that yesterday by Maria Bartiromo. He refused to give an endorsement, so you won't get one from me at this podium unless he wants me to do that. Philip, go ahead.
Oh,
Sure. And then I can go to you.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you. The president said that he's working on a temporary pause for immigration enforcement in certain industries. I'm wondering what you can tell us about how he's determining which industries are deserving of a pass. He mentioned farmers, but what about, say, construction workers? I mean, shouldn't there just be one standard here?
I don't have any more details to read out for you, but what I can tell you is that the White House is working closely every day with the Department of Agriculture as well as the Department of Homeland Security when it comes to workforce enforcement, worksite enforcement, and the president's focus and the focus of this administration is, of course, to remove public safety threats from the streets and to deport as many of the illegal criminals, especially the violent criminals that we know are still here because of the previous administration. So that's the main priority and the goal.
And then the president has already made cuts to the office of the Director of National Intelligence, but now Senator Tom Cotton has put forward a bill that would cut the office by another 60%. What's the president's reaction to that legislation, and is this something that he would support with those additional cuts?
I don't know if the president's even aware of that legislation, but I will get you a response if he is aware and if he wants to respond to it. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. You mentioned the dangerous wildlife at the alligator Alcatraz. Is that a design feature? Why is the president going with this mega bill in such a precarious position in the Senate? And then also, can you talk about the CBO estimate that it would add about 11 million uninsured?
Well, look, when you have illegal murderers and rapists and heinous criminals in a detention facility surrounded by alligators, yes, I do think that's a deterrent for them to try to escape. We do know that some of these illegal criminals have escaped from other detention facilities, like one in New Jersey, which I know was recently reported on. So, of course, we want to keep the American people safe, and we want to remove these public safety threats from our streets, and we want to effectively detain them as best as we can. As for why the president is going, I think his trip to this detention facility actually underscores the need to pass the One Big Beautiful Bill, because we need more detention facilities across the country. The last administration let in nearly 20 million illegal people from all over the world, and this administration is focused on arresting and detaining them. But in comparison to that 20 million illegal criminal population in our country, we only have 7,000 ICE agents in the interior who are doing this very important work. And so we obviously need more personnel, we need more resources, and that's why we need to pass the One Big Beautiful Bill.
On the CBO
Go ahead. Yes, in the pink.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Can you please share some details of China trade deal? Has the U.S. agreed to ease some technology export restrictions?
Sure. Well, the final language that was agreed upon in both Geneva and in London was signed just past week. We can get you that final text of the agreement. Go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline.
Eamon, and then behind you.
Okay, thanks, Caroline. So on Jay Powell, has the president got a short list of who he wants to see as Jay Powell's successor, and is he going to name a successor as early as this summer?
I won't get ahead of the president on any announcements.
Does he like Scott Besson for the job?
Again, I won't get ahead of the president.
On TikTok, if you could, real quick, he said yesterday he's got a buyer, but the question there is, does he have a seller? And do you have any indication from the Chinese government that they've authorized a sale of TikTok to the U.S. or to U.S. buyers?
What I can tell you is that these discussions with China regarding the sale of TikTok have been ongoing at the highest level, and they will continue. As you know, we have another 90-day extension, and it's just to continue to work out this deal and make sure that TikTok stays on for the American people. That's the president's main goal in this, while protecting their privacy and their security. Behind you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. The president has been calling for a deal in Gaza for 2 days and many posts. Who is blocking the deal? And one other thing, when he posted on Netanyahu's trial, also he said it interferes with the negotiations on Iran and on Gaza. What did he mean by that?
I'm sorry, to your second question?
When he posted about the Israeli Prime Minister trial, he
Yes.
said it interferes with the negotiations on Gaza and on Iran. What did he mean by that?
It interferes because it physically and logistically was interfering. The prime minister was slated to go to court last week when he's in the middle of negotiating a peace deal and bringing hostages out of a war-torn region. And so the president was simply, I think, emphasizing his empathy that he has for Bibi Netanyahu and seeing him go what he's going through with his own judicial system in the state of Israel. Clearly, the president knows that very well. He, too, was a victim of a judicial system that was trying to put him in jail, as you all know. You all covered it.
Boy, oh boy, very similar to what he did with Flynn.
Back in the Oval Office, and he believes that Bibi Netanyahu is a great leader for the people of Israel. The president just worked with him closely to end that 12-day war and to obliterate Iran's nuclear facility, to take out that imminent threat, not just to the state of Israel, but also to the United States of America and the rest of the world. And he believes that Prime Minister Netanyahu should be praised for that. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. On the mega bill and the amendment that would limit Medicaid expansion under the Affordable Care Act, does the president want that amendment to pass?
The president wants this bill to pass. Maria.
Hey, thanks, Caroline. On trade, we have this looming July 9th deadline coming up. We heard the Treasury Secretary say that he expects to wrap up these trade deals by Labor Day, but when President Trump was asked yesterday about any extensions by July 9th, he said, I think that would be necessary. So is the president ruling out any extensions on trade for any nations, even if they're negotiating in good faith?
Well, you heard from him directly. He said he did not think that it would be necessary. He is going to set the rates for many of these countries if they don't come to the table to negotiate in good faith. And he is meeting with his trade team this week to do that. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. I just watched a CNN segment on a new app called Ice Block, and it kind of appeared to be promoting this app where you can tell people where ICE agents are. Given the recent rise,
An app that tells people where ICE agents are?
And given the rise, I believe 500% increase in assaults on ICE agents, I wanted to see if you could comment on that and why CNN would be promoting such an app.
Well, it's a very good question. I'll have to go back and watch the clip myself, but surely it sounds like this would be an incitement of further violence against our ICE officers. As you know, as you stated, there's been a 500% increase in violence against ICE agents, law enforcement officers across the country who are just simply trying to do their jobs and remove public safety threats from our communities. And that's something we as Americans, including journalists at CNN who live in many of these cities where illegal aliens are hiding and were let in from the previous administration, should be very grateful for. So we haven't seen the clip. We'll take a look at it, but certainly it's unacceptable that a major network would promote such an app that is encouraging violence against law enforcement officers who are trying to keep our country safe. Shelby.
I just wanted to get a clarification on the Senator Rick Scott's amendment. It sounds like the president is agnostic about whether it's attached. Is that accurate?
Look, I'm not going to get into the details of the discussions that are ongoing right now, but the president wants these senators to come to a conclusion, to get this bill back to the White House as soon as possible and make sure that it's a piece of legislation that can make its way back through the House as well. So obviously there's some ping-ponging between both sides of Capitol Hill right now, but that's why Senator Thune and Speaker Johnson are working with the president in lockstep every step of the way. In the back, News Nation, go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. The president did
and then
announce.
in front of you,
Oh,
yes.
in front of.
Sure, I'll take both of you.
The president did announce last week that the trade deal with India is closed, and this could happen anytime soon. Are there any roadblocks as of now? Are there any updates on that? And how does the president see this about China's role or its influence in the Indo-Pacific region?
Sure, yes. The president said that last week, and it remains true. I actually just spoke to our Secretary of Commerce about it. He was in the Oval Office with the president. They are finalizing these agreements, and you'll hear from the president and his team, his trade team, very soon when it comes to India.
China? Counter China on that front?
Yes, I mean, look, India remains a very strategic ally in the Asia Pacific, and the president has a very good relationship with Prime Minister Modi, as you know, and he will continue to have that. Go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. On the reconciliation bill, Senator Tillis from the floor yesterday seemed to suggest President Trump was getting bad counsel on the effects of the bill. Is President Trump aware of the analyses, and there are several of these that suggest if
this is a quitter.
Hospitals
we don't care.
Close, if there are Medicaid patients in the millions that become ineligible for that.
Yes, and that claim is just simply untrue. Rural hospitals comprise 7% of all hospital spending on Medicaid, and that illustrates that they have not benefited from the massive increase of waste, fraud, and abuse under the Biden administration. So this bill strengthens Medicaid. It will protect those benefits that hardworking Americans need, and that's why the president wants this bill to pass. The senator was wrong. The president put out a Truth Social post addressing it, and then the senator announced he's no longer running for office anymore. So I think that case has been closed, and the White House is continuing to focus on getting this legislation to the president's desk for his signature. Go ahead. Yes, you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, you and then you. There's confusion here.
A question on Syria.
Go ahead.
Has the Syrian government get back to you that they are ready to join the Abraham Accord? Is there any discussion with the Syrian and Israeli government for having a security agreement? Is the first question. And the second question, what's the end goal for talking with the Iranian? Is that only focused on the nuclear program, or they are willing to speak about other issues like the proxy groups and ballistic missiles, or even trade with Iran?
So as for discussions between Syria and Israel, you'll have to reach out to those respective governments. I can't comment on that. But what I can tell you is that this afternoon, the president will be signing an executive order to terminate the United States sanctions program on Syria. And this is in an effort to promote and support the country's path to stability and peace. The order will remove sanctions on Syria while maintaining sanctions on the former President Assad, his associates, human rights abusers, drug traffickers, persons linked to chemical weapons activities, ISIS and their affiliates, and Iranian proxies. And this is, again, an action that the president promised and shocked the world with in Saudi Arabia, because he's committed to supporting a Syria that is stable, unified, and at peace with itself and its neighbors. The president met with Syria's new president when we were in the Middle East, as you know, and so this is another promise made and promise kept by this president to promote peace and stability in the region. Go ahead, Alice.
Sure. Questions on two topics, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I will start with NTD here. First, on Canada. Canada says it's now dropping its digital services tax on American tech companies days after President Trump says he's halting all trade talks with Canada. First, what's the president's reaction to this? Can you tell us more about his call with Prime Minister Carney over the weekend? How did he get Carney to drop it? And also, what's the impact on American tech companies given this latest progress, as the president says he has been fighting for American tech companies?
It's very simple. Prime Minister Carney in Canada caved to President Trump in the United States of America. And President Trump knows how to negotiate, and he knows that he is governing the best country and the best economy in this world, on this planet. And every country on the planet needs to have good trade relationships with the United States. And it was a mistake for Canada to vow to implement that tax that would have hurt our tech companies here in the United States. The president made his position quite clear to the prime minister, and the prime minister called the president last night to let the president know that he would be dropping that tax, which is a big victory for our tech companies and our American workers here at home.
And on Harvard, if you don't mind, the administration today formally accused Harvard of violating civil rights laws by not doing enough to fight anti-Semitism. We know that the president has talked to us before about Harvard potentially having a deal with the administration in the coming days. Do you have an updated timeline for that? How's the negotiations going? And is more pressure needed for Harvard to take fighting anti-Semitism seriously?
Well, there was quite a direct letter that was sent to Harvard this morning, as you know. The negotiations are taking place behind closed doors, so I won't comment on that. But what I will share with all of you, for those who haven't seen it, is the context of this letter, because I think it's very important. And this comes from the Department of Health and Human Services, which concluded after a thorough investigation that Harvard University is in a violent violation of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin. And if you read some of the content of the investigation and what they found, the majority of Jewish students reportedly experienced negative bias or discrimination on their campus, while a quarter of Jewish students at Harvard felt physically unsafe. Jewish and Israeli students were assaulted and spit on. They hid their kippahs for fear of being harassed and concealed their Jewish identity from classmates for fear of ostracization. Images were widely circulated amongst the Harvard community that trafficked in obvious anti-Semitic tropes, including one that showed a dollar sign inside of a Star of David, and the campus was vandalized with anti-Semitic stickers, including one that showed the Israeli flag with a swastika. A Harvard campus was racked by demonstrations, as you all know, violent protests that violated the university's rules of conduct. The demonstrations called for genocide and murder, denied Jewish and Israeli students access to campus spaces. These are all facts that Harvard cannot dispute, and that's why the administration has found them in violation of Title VI and has threatened to withhold their federal funding, because if you break federal law, you should not be receiving federal tax dollars. And so I rest my case on Harvard. Andrea.
Yeah, so President Macron of France earlier today said that tariffs levied by powerful countries are often a form of blackmail, and criticized the sort of process that's underway. Didn't mention the United States specifically, but said that these tariffs are really hurting developing countries. So there's this big UN conference going on. What do you say to that?
It's a lie.
The president, was he aware of that comment, and did he even respond?
I think the president and the White House would certainly reject that characterization by Prime Minister Macron. Tariffs are an effective use of presidential power to bring back the middle class, to bring back our manufacturing industry, which was the backbone of our American economy and has been hollowed out by globalist politicians who have caved to foreign countries instead of doing what's right for American workers. That's why the president is effectively utilizing his authority to wage tariffs and to utilize tariffs, and continues to be in discussions and negotiations on trade to do what's right for America. And Europe and the rest of the world might not be used to that, but President Trump is back in town, and he's going to do what's right for our people and our country.
Follow up on Netanyahu. So there's a report in Israeli media that the Prime Minister will actually be here, that Netanyahu will be here today meeting with the President. Can you confirm that?
I don't believe Prime Minister Netanyahu is here today. I think you guys would know about that by now. Unless there's something going on I don't know about, but I don't believe he is. I do know he has expressed interest in coming to Washington and meeting with the President, and we are working on a date for that. I do not believe it is today. But that would be fun. You never know in this White House, let's be honest. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. Does the president support this new measure in the big, beautiful bill that would impose steep new taxes on new wind and solar projects?
I believe you're referring to the credits for wind and solar projects.
No,
And what?
I'm talking about the new tax. There's a new tax that it's estimated would add 10 to 20% to the cost of any new wind and solar projects that start after this year.
Again, I don't want to comment on the specifics of provisions, but I'm sure the president.
The
will speak
windmills
on
are
that.
ugly.
Again,
and they
this is
kill
an ongoing
eagles.
Process. The president continues to be very much engaged with the leadership in both the Senate and the House to get this bill back to his desk.
Did the president ask for that provision? Because the National Building Trades Union is saying that it's the equivalent of terminating more than 1,000 Keystone XL pipeline projects. Is that something that would concern him?
Well, the president spoke on this yesterday in his interview, and he said he understands that legislators want to protect jobs in their communities and in their districts. And so he understands why some of them are against this provision, but he also understands why people want the provision. So again, this is an ongoing deliberation and discussion, and the president is engaged in this very much. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. We've been hearing from White House officials for weeks that you're close on trade deals with a number of countries. Can we get any update on which countries will have deals by the 9th and when there may be any announcements?
I'll let the president and the trade team speak on it.
On to the CBO estimate that the Senate bill would increase the deficit by nearly $3.3 trillion.
This is one of the most fiscally conservative pieces of legislation that has ever made its way through Capitol Hill. There's $2 trillion in mandatory savings in this bill, and not only that, the projected growth that this bill will bring to our economy. It will be an economic boom. The Council of Economic Advisors has an analysis that shows that the bill will generate $4.1 trillion in economic growth, and it will cut taxes, putting more money back into the American people's pockets. That's why this president wants this bill to pass, and I know he's busy working the phones and doing what he needs to do today to make it happen. So we'll see you all later. Thank you. We'll see you in Florida tomorrow.
Wow.
Wow is right.
Press secretary. Holy moly. And we got a Q proof from Donald J. Trump and Karoline Leavitt. Wow. About the world central banks. Wow.
That's an amazing, like she literally walked out with a list saying, hey, why are all these other Fed-controlled central banks giving better rates to borrow our money? Because at the center of it all, you guys, everybody thinks like, oh, well, it's their money and their money. It's actually not. It's actually one big system that the IMF uses to wield its power against you. And the strongest system within that system is the United States of America. So the reality, what Trump is trying to say is that if anybody should get a low rate, it should be America. All these other people, it's fine. They can have a low rate, but I don't understand why they're beating us. This doesn't make any sense. This is horse, you know what? And it needs to be straightened out.
Yeah, and it will be. I mean, we're what, 164 days into the administration, man? Holy moly, guys.
And he's putting them on notice to the point where you got people in the press pool that are saying, hey, why don't you fire that guy?
Yeah, exactly.
When have you seen the press pool call for like the firing of the Fed chair?
I know, right? So, so President Trump, he just posted as well. He said, to show people how spoiled countries have become with respect to the United States of America, I have great respect for Japan, and they won't take our rice, and yet they have massive rice shortage. In other words, we'll just be sending them a letter, and we love having them as a trading partner for many. And we love having them for a trading partner for many years to come. Also, real quick, this is your pesky Q-proof, guys. Again, we can read the letter now. Jerome, you are, as usual, too late. You have cost the USA a fortune and continue to do so. You should lower the rate by a lot. Hundreds of billions of dollars being lost. No inflation. Donald J. Trump. We should be here. Look at him. And so that is a pesky Q-proof because we've got this, guys. This is the Rothschild owned and controlled banks that we're talking about every Friday, Shady Groove.
We absolutely are the center of the story.
Well, look at this. There. And by the way, 136 is when he posted the Flynn book, too. Look at.
Yep. This happens to line up.
Wow. And wow, guys. So the Federal Reserve and the IRS, it's going to be the ERS, right? The External Revenue Service, because we're going to restructure the Fed. But look at this. The fact, U.S. Federal Reserve is a privately owned company sitting on its very own patch of land, immune to U.S. laws, okay? So, again, we're showing you how they got that patch of land. We're showing you what bloodline family gave them that patch of land. We're showing you how your United States of America was actually started by the bloodlines on Fridays. And with that, Shady, let's just go ahead and do this commercial real quick because it is a sponsorship from Rumble, and it's one that's likely important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built a platform for the small creator, and they didn't censor biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor opinions on COVID, but they did, right, Facebook? And you admitted, Facebook, that you fell to the pressure of the Biden-Harris administration. Rumble didn't. They held the line. They were attacked daily for giving the MG show a voice to talk to you. They are attacked in corporate media and attacked like governments like France, and they're attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove free speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive. With brand advertisers, they don't get much of it. Watching the MG show right here on Rumble is the most they can ask for you. But if you believe in the fight and you want to see our Friday shows about the Pacer bloodline, you have the means. One major way is to help Rumble survive by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and human right to free speech. Rumble's offering $10 off right now if you go use that promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use that promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means, that's good, and we appreciate that. And if you believe in the cause, that's even better. Now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we're just happy that you watch the MG show right here on Rumble.
I'd like to thank you guys so much for joining us. I'd like to thank you so much for purchasing and being part of the Rumble Premium family. We are diving deep within the research that we expressed to you today. It does connect to Q, does connect to everything to do with what we're talking about here. It does connect to Massey. It does connect to Paul. It does connect to McConnell. You talk about that patch of land where Jeff was just explaining to you where they created the central bank. Well, where did they put your gold? They put your gold on a patch of land in Fort Knox. Those people that are very against this bill and Donald Trump hail from the state that houses Fort Knox. I'm wondering why they're all triggered and loud, Jeff.
Oh, they're loud. And you know what, Shady Groove? You had a really good post that says, if you're true to your beliefs. How did that post go? Do you remember?
Not off the top of my head, but it basically says that you don't. You don't have to be afraid of standing up for what it is you believe in. If you're not willing to stand up for what you believe in, then you don't believe in it.
That's right. That's right. And I love that.
And that's a big to do with what we're doing here every day, because I stand by my research 100%. I don't care what anybody else says.
That's right. And I don't care what anybody else says, because we've done the research and you need to do yours. Don't believe me. Believe yourself. And God. I mean, that's where we're at, right, Shady?
The hard work pays off, friend.
Wow. And this is our last show of the month, guys. Please hit that thumbs up on your way out. We appreciate it. And go to our page, rumble.com/MG show, and sign up. Hit the red button right there and sign up for premium. We really appreciate it.
And you can
guys.
also share the show on the network, like a social media platform, which is pretty cool.
Right. That's right. So like buttons, share it, copy link, share it, do all that kind of cool stuff, because it's biblical, my friends.
And we'll be back tomorrow.
Wait, let me get over to
same
Facebook.
fat channel.
Let me get over to Facebook, because they're like, they don't like.
Yeah, you gotta get rid of them before you start your outro.
I do. How do I do that? Let me see.
Say goodbye to Facebook Shady. Oh yeah, we're not live.
Goodbye, Facebook Shady. We're
goodbye,
live.
Facebook Shady.
How do I get over there and end it?
See, that would be a navigation tool.
A navigational.
He ended it.
Yeti, thank you. You're the best. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining us. And if you missed our thing on General Flynn, go to the first hour where we talked about it. And we're proud that we stand with President Donald J. Trump. And that's all we ask of anybody, is to stand with President Donald J. Trump. If you want to, stand with anybody else, fine. But you don't have to like other people in order to support Trump. We support Trump. Shady, do you support Trump?
I do. And I say keep it simple, stupid.
See you guys later.
I'm going to pull the whole thing down. I'm going to bring the whole diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's going to be biblical.
www.mg.show. Boom.